some of his lovely memories of his grandma with us.
Good afternoon, everybody. One thing that Granny hated was when she couldn't hear the vicar speak at church. So if anybody can't hear, then just put your hands up and start waving and I'll speak a bit louder. I'm very honoured to make this tribute to you. What I'm about to say is also going to be the thoughts and the memories that are shared by both my sisters at the front, Emma and Alex. 99, what a fantastic innings she had. And if only these could be translated into cricket runs, then I'm so sure the Indian god Sachin Tendulkar would have a real fight on his hands. To most of you, she was Olive, but to us, she was our talkie granny. And that's not because she talked a lot. I'm afraid that Babbacombe Granny just doesn't have the same ring about it. If you look up on Google about what the name Olive means, it actually means peace in Latin. And I think that this is a very good word to sum her up. And I think that she was at peace with the world in life, and I think that she still is now. Of course, the day that Talkie Granny was born was anything but peaceful. On the 4th of November 1914, the Soviet Union had just invaded Turkey, can you believe it? And the following day, Great Britain declared war on the Ottoman Empire. Back then, women didn't have the vote, children might have left work, aged 12, and there were even still servants. Although apparently there still are in South London today, near where I live. Talkie Granny not only survived through 2 world wars and then a Cold War, she even managed to survive Malcolm, my brother-in-law's creme brulee. And so this list of historical momentous events that she saw goes on. The rise of fascism and Hitler, JFK, even Marilyn Monroe, the first man on the moon, the end of apartheid, relevant today. When she was born, there were still horse-drawn carts. And just before she died, she was able to Skype Emma on her, and her granddaughter, Aurelie, on our iPhone. And she might have wondered exactly what Emma was doing in the iPhone, but I think that's moving in or there. And so the text from my sister Alex came through about her death, saying it's the end of an era. It really did feel like an end of an era. I should have started by thanking you all for coming. Some of us are her family, many of you knew her from church or where she lived happily at Margaret Clitheroe House. You might remember her for her endearingly screeching hearing aids. Or you may have remembered how she greeted you with her 2 hands cupped around yours with a warm, saintly smile and with the words, "Ora'o," which made one immediately feel incredibly at ease. It's no surprise that she lived so long. She was a northern hardcore trooper. She worked hard. She was a penny in, penny out sort of person. She played hard and was still able to give lots to others. In fact, when I searched for the meaning of Olive, the first website I came to was a baby naming website, and it described people with the name Olive as being passionate, compassionate, broad-minded and generous, and who tend to follow professions where they can serve humanity. They also have magnetic personalities and they're romantic. I think this is a very good description of Talkie Granny. I remember when we used to come and stay with her where she lived just around the corner in Portland Road. And as children, we would be so excited to see her, counting the seconds in the car when we'd be driving up to Torquay. We'd be bugging my parents with the words, "When are we getting there? When are we getting there?" And as we drive past the model village, past the downs and then onto Portland Road, we'd see her in her hallway, waiting for us and waving. And our excitement would be immediately rewarded. And in the holidays, we'd come up without Mum and Dad, and she'd do the dutiful visits that she always did to her friends, with us in tow. She'd make sure that we were smart, our hair combed, and she'd make disapproving remarks regarding the scuffs on our shoes or the tears in our jeans. And of course we blame our mum, her daughter, what could she say? And we play card games and eat cakes with her friends, hoping to get some pocket money out of them afterwards. And at the end of the visit, she'd prompt us by saying, "Now, what do you have to say to Vera?" And then, of course, we'd say, "Thank you, Vera, thank you for having us." And I remember this church very well because she used to come here and serve hot lunches to the older people, again, dutifully sweating away, preparing the meals for people younger than herself. But I don't think she ever realised or gave into her sense of being old. Talkie Granny was very proud. She made Christmas for us. And this Christmas will not be the same without her. I remember hours of waiting for her at the bus stop. Like Mary Poppins, she would make Christmas suddenly magical and exciting. Though instead of arriving by umbrella, she would arrive on an often very late National Express coach from Bristol. And she'd be able to recall to us the life story of the person sitting next to us. Of course, whilst beginning her destined tasks of mince pie making and cheese straw making over a nice sherry with carols from King's College, Cambridge in the background. Talkie Granny had this recognisable, lovely smell about her, and to this day I have no idea what it was, but I would feel very cheated if I smelt it on someone else. The spare room where she stayed for Christmas would suddenly be engulfed by the smell, and the three of us would jump into bed with her and be read stories in this magical, attention-grabbing way, and she would stroke our foreheads whilst we fell to sleep. It is sad that I never met Alf, her husband. He died 3 months before I was born. They met at church and on retirement moved down here to Torquay from South London. He was a carpenter and built a doll's house, and we still have it and will pass it on to our children. He was likewise a kind person and made her happy. And it would be heartwarming to think that she is now with him again, having been separated for such a long time. Although she might be charmed away by Nelson Mandela, as I think it's quite a competitive world up there, I imagine. I remember well the stories that she would tell us about her childhood that just sum her up. The day she fell, aged 2, into the leather paint while staying with her uncle and aunt in Morley in Yorkshire. They were both leather merchants. At times she kicked the football through the grocery window and her dad gave her a right pounding, she would say, and then she would say, "I was such a tomboy then." What about how she nearly drowned in the swimming pool in Isleworth the day that World War II broke out, and she'd never put her head under the water since? And then, of course, the dog that nearly took her nose off. And as she told us, she'd pretend that she could still take it off. And we'd scream out in excitement. And then don't forget, of course, when she was working at Heathrow at WH Smith, and the lady with the high heels broke all her toes. I think that lady was probably the only person that Talkie Granny ever disliked. For us to remember her stories, they must have seemed magical. Magical stories from a magical person. A Mary Poppins-like figure, austere in her nature, yet anything but frugal with her love and kindness. A hard-working northerner, almost saint-like in her affect. Wise and wonderful. Through her example to the three of us, she shaped our moral compasses. She helped design our nostalgic childhoods, and we are very grateful. We are proud of the way she lived her life. She was our super grand, and we will really miss her and remember her forever. Thank you very much.